Hello, lovelies. Well, today's going to be fun because we are going to do some magic in practice. Well, we're not really going to do magic. We're going to undo some black magic. How exciting is that? Well, let me ask you this. Do you know how you stop black magic? It's interesting, isn't it? Well, funnily enough, this is one of the places where magic with a K and magic without a K, stage magic, have something very much in common. Once you understand how the magic is done, then the magic no longer has you under its spell. Now, I'm not saying that this works in all cases of black magic. This certainly works with the type of black magic we're going to be talking about today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how the magic in this case is done, and then the magic will no longer have us under its spell. Now look, this is high hopes, but also I'm hoping that if we can undo this black magic, then the naughty boys will figure out that they can't do this kind of black magic to us anymore. Which is even more important than undoing this spell. It's all the other spells that they try to cast on us as well. And that really is a big deal. So then, what is the black magic that I'm talking about today that we are going to undo? What is the black magic here? Okay, all right. So the black magic we're talking about today, and honestly, I thought, oh, maybe this is too late to even talk about this. Maybe this has all blown over by now, but I just Googled it, and let me tell you what I found. So as of a day ago, we have headlines that say, the problem with Rogan's COVID interviews. Menace to health. 270 doctors criticize Spotify over Joe Rogan's podcast. Robert Malone makes unfounded COVID-19 claims on Joe Rogan's show. A menace to public health. Doctors demand Spotify puts an end to COVID lies. Joe Rogan's COVID lies prompt an open letter and a new round of backlash. Doctors, scientists petition Spotify to stop Joe Rogan experience. The problem with Joe Rogan and white boys. Well, what did white boys have to do with this? But anyway, you get the idea. That's the first page with news as recent as yesterday. And it's not quite 6 a.m. here. So the magic, the black magic that I want to talk to you about pertains to this 270 doctors that have written an open letter complaining about Joe Rogan's podcast. And more interestingly, why it is all over the news. And why is this black magic, you might say? Because do you know how many 270 doctors is? And even now that it's gone up to 1,000, do you know how many that is? That is fuck all. That is absolutely fuck all doctors. But yet, it's one of the biggest news stories all over the world. And that is why this is black magic. Now, to be honest with you, I have not even yet defined what magic is for you. And if you go listen to episode 2 of my podcast, you'll understand or you'll learn a little bit about our paradigm and our reality tunnel and social media's effect and the media's effect on our ability to do magic. I explain that in episode 2. But yet I haven't not really defined what magic is for you. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you a short clip from a wonderful gentleman by the name of Mark Passio, who I interviewed for this series. And I think that this is one of the most wonderful and comprehensive definitions of what magic and black magic, or as Mark says, sorcery, is all about. What I really want you to listen to is to what Mark Passio says about freedom. He mentions it very quickly, but he does mention it. And the reason I'm using this clip is it all has to do with freedom.
magic, as it is defined in most schools of occult thinking, is the science and art of influencing change in the world to occur according to the will. Now, this means that there are actually two distinct types of what we would call magic. There is positive magic and negative magic, if you like. I break the distinction down into what I would refer to as true magic and sorcery. So true magic I would consider an alchemical process. It is a process of alchemy. And this means that you are influencing change to occur in accordance with the will of creation, the capital W will, the larger will, the will that ultimately set all of the laws of creation into effect in the universe. And it does have a will. You know, this force of creation has a will, and it is a discoverable thing. It is not some eternal mystery to tantalize us and torture us forever for us not to be able to know or to understand. The will is quite simple, actually. It is the higher level will, capital W will, is to evolve, to learn, and to grow, and to evolve into greater forms of complexity and greater forms of consciousness. And this includes possibility and freedom. So the will, capital W, creation's will, if we want to look at it that way, is to evolve life and consciousness to ever greater and complexified forms and to advance freedom and possibility to do so. Therefore, sorcery, or what we might call negative magic, is the art and science of influencing change in the world to occur in accordance with the will, lowercase w. This is the ego-driven will of the practitioner of this form of influence. So this is lowercase will, meaning it is not creation's will that is being done. It is the selfish, egotistical, and ego-driven will of the practitioner of this form of lesser and fallen magic that the practitioner is attempting to accomplish or to get done. And that is what I refer to in my work as sorcery, a straight out sorcery, because this is not encouraging or advancing the will of creation. This is simply encouraging and advancing the desires, the egoic desires of the practitioner. And that is what we have to do, is make the distinction between these two forms of magic so that we can understand when we are trying to help people to understand something or trying to influence a change to occur in the world, which form of the will are we serving? Okay, are we serving the greater plan of creation, or are we just serving our ego-driven agenda? And there are many, many practitioners of, quote, magic that are the latter type out in the world today, that are sorcerers, if you will. They are people who have an agenda of their own ego-driven will, and they are attempting to enact that in the world by influence of other people.
Okay, so then they have an agenda of their own ego-driven will, and they're trying to enact that agenda by influence of other people. All right, so what is their agenda? What are they trying to change? They're trying to change our ability to listen to Joe having adult conversations. They are trying to retard freedom in accordance with their lowercase will, their selfish, egotistical agenda. And how are they doing it? They're influencing other people through the use of mass media. Sounds like black magic to me. First of all, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do about it. And then I'm going to tell you why, because I know not all of you make it through all of these podcasts all the time. So the first instruction is you're going to go to the website that is called signitforjoe.com. And we're going to sign a petition to help Joe Rogan and to help Spotify keep Joe Rogan on the air. And then we're going to share it far and wide. And look, at the end of the day, I don't think Joe Rogan needs our help. I think Joe Rogan's going to be fine, but Spotify may. Spotify has advertisers, and they might feel the pressure of this big media campaign. But at the end of the day, what's really important is two things. If we can get enough people to understand the mechanisms of black magic, then the black magic will no longer work on them. And that is really huge, because this is not the first time and this is not the last time that they have used magic to influence the mass psychology of the world. And the second thing that's really important is that we need to show the naughty boys that the jig is up, that we understand how they are doing their magic on us, and it's not going to work anymore. And so we have a real opportunity here. Yeah? So you want to help me? Because we have to do this all together, or else it'll only work for us, and we want to wake everybody up, right? Now, look, I'm not fooling myself here. We don't have millions and millions of dollars to buy advertising to spread this around, nor do we own the mass media to get a huge amount of coverage on this. So, in all honesty, this probably is not going to come to much at all unless you think it's a good idea and you share it around. But regardless of that, I think that the love that people have for Joe Rogan and the ability that they have currently to access his information might enable this to catch on a little bit. And, you know, we all love that David and Goliath thing, right? Where the little guy can beat the big guy. So think about it. Share it, see if we can get some leverage on this. And when you're explaining it to people, don't underestimate the power of removing the veil for people. This is the apocalypse, after all. This is the time of great revealing. And so put on your magic hat and do your bit. And let's see how big of a list that we can get that will be completely ignored by mass media. Maybe not. Maybe we can get a list that's so big that it won't be able to be ignored. Let's see what we can do, eh? Thank you, lovelies, for listening, and we'll get back on topic very soon.